Injustice never goes unheard. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough. Advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Counseling in every call, catching up before the fall. She sees the good in every face, spreads hope all over the place. Like Dr. Phil with a softer touch, opinions firm but love so much. Her guidance is a shining star, lifting lives both near and far.
She, the force of nature, strong and kind, voice for those who can't speak their mind, sees the world through a lens so clear, finds the truth without any fear. Oh, she's momming it up day and night, with a heart that's glowing bright, helping those who need a hand, guiding them to understanding, counseling hearts so wise and true. In her mind, visions of the new, sees potential in every soul, loves her compass, loves her goal. Oh, she's momming it up day and night, with a heart that's glowing bright, helping those who need a hand, guiding them to understanding, counseling hearts so wise and true. Visions of the new, sees potential in every soul, loves her compass, loves her goal. Oh, she's momming it up day and night, with a heart that's glowing bright, helping those who need a hand, guiding them to understanding, advocate for every child, lending ears and running wild, shines a light in the darkest place, fighting battles with a mother's grace. Investigates with sharpest eyes, exposes truth, no compromise, holds opinions strong and willful, but gives advice that's ever skillful. Woke up before the dawn, she's got her armor on, fighting for those who can't, champion with a loving chant. Investigates the hidden truth with a pen sharp and couth, unlocks doors with every word, injustice never goes unheard. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough, advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. In every call, patching up before the fall, she sees the good in every face, spreads hope all over the place. Like Dr. Phil with a softer touch, opinions firm but love so much. Her guidance is a shining star, lifting lives both near and far. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough, advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. With a heart so tough, advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Makes the world a little the dawn. She's got her armor on, fighting for those who can't. Champion with a loving chant. Investigates the hidden truth with a pen sharp and couth. Unlocks doors with every word, and justice never goes unheard. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough. Advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Canceling in every call, patching up before the fall. She sees the good in every face, spreads hope all over the place. Like Dr. Phil with a softer touch, opinions from below so much. Her guidance is a shining star, lifting lives both near and far. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough. Advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. With a heart so tough, advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Makes the world a little more wild. Makes the quits, child. Advocating every step through the wild. Digs deep for truth like a journalist star. Lending a hand no matter who you are. Counseling with love, she's a guiding light. Seeing the good even in the fight. Dr. Phil's wisdom she throws in the mix. Momming it up with her signature fix. Mama with a mission strong and true, changing the world with every view. Special needs kids in her embrace, champion for them a saving grace. Mama with a mission strong and true, changing the world with every view. Special needs kids in her embrace, champion for them a saving grace. Dedicated mind, always on the track, never letting injustice slip through the crack. Voice for the voiceless, she stands tall, breaking barriers, tearing down the wall. Every opinion she gives with care, helping others understand and share. In a world that can be so damn tough, her wisdom and love are more than enough. Mama with a mission strong and true, changing the world with every view. Special needs kids in her embrace, champion for them a saving grace. Mama with a mission strong and true, changing the world with every view. Special needs kids in her embrace, champion for them a saving grace. Yeah, champion for them a saving grace.
deep for truth, like a journalist star. Lending a hand no matter who you are.
Hello everyone, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Solving mysteries with a truth so deep, spreading love, never out of reach. Advocate with a voice so clear, lifting up kids, chasing away the fear. Got her facts straight, like a newsroom star, helping hearts heal from near and far. Oh, she's momming it up in style, every step, every mile. With a heart that's fierce, she lights the night.
Pull everything up.
Fighting for love like a warrior, so bright. In the counselor's chair, she's got your back. Advice so smooth, never gonna lack.
Just opening the different chat rooms for both of you. Both of our locations will be multi-streaming. StreamYard's been a bit odd with the chat room. With a heart that's fierce, she lights the night, fighting for love like a warrior, so bright. The warrior so bright. Oh, she's momming it up in style, every step, every mile. With a heart that's fierce, she lights the night, fighting for love like a warrior, so bright. All right, we are all ready. Let's turn the music down. Dr. Phil vibes, but 10 times more open heart, burning heart. She's the one they adore. Everyone, I am finally ready. Thank you so much for stopping by. I wanted to discuss a bunch of different things with you tonight. If you catch this on the replay, please be sure to leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any suggestions. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I enjoy talking back and forth. I am a big believer in conversation. I think that there's so much that we can learn from one another, and I don't like to be in an echo chamber of like minds. I like to hear different people's perspectives on things, because that's how we learn and how we grow. And that's just my forte anyway. So I'm going to start out tonight with a video from Smiley's World. So Smiley's Story World is a content creator that I recently started watching, I think maybe 2 months ago. She's a sweetheart. I was able to actually meet her when I went to the vigil for Sebastian Rogers, the missing young teen from Hendersonville, Tennessee. And she had done an interview with one of the parents. Well, actually, it was the step-parent of Sebastian. And there was some interesting conversations that transpired. Not conversations, but statements. So I wanted to start out tonight going over that and kind of looking at things from a different perspective. There's been so much speculation, and there is a lot of hypothesizing going on. And an angle that I have been looking at this for the last couple days after reviewing audio and going over things again is from the mindset of what if a parental abduction went awry? What if there was some sort of a plan? What if there was a story, a plot, a script? We're theorizing, we're speculating, and we're looking at things from different angles. So it made me think of Smiley's Story World because she did a wonderful interview. She didn't continuously talk. See, there's a lot of times I listen to interviews and there's a lot of talking, and then you don't get to hear the person that you're interviewing You kind of feed them information without even knowing you do. Although in this interesting case of Sebastian Rogers, it does kind of seem that at times they've intentionally fed information, though, and kind of contoured and controlled some of the input. Had not seemed organic. But anyway, I don't want to go on a tangent like we know I can definitely do. Let's get into Smiley's story world and start this out tonight.
Because how much crap he put out there and to the level he has gone to certain topics. There's one topic. Okay. My kids.
Oops. Actually, before we get into that, I should go over my disclaimer. It is in the description below the video, but just in case, I'll read it to you. So we're going to go over the fair use really quickly. This is a social media disclaimer and statement for myself. This is CCN, and you are listening to Mommin' It Up. I like to call it multitasking with Mommin when we have our late nights. So in this digital age, we engage in discussions here that are about true crime sometimes, current events, various societal issues. And that's just the way that it is. We do a lot of that these days. It could be all different topics, but those seem to be the three primary topics that we're going to be revolving around here on the channel. The content shared here, including post comments and discussions, does consist of personal opinions, which is what you hear me saying a lot about hypothesis, speculation, and open dialogue. This is not professional or legal advice. We exercise our right to free speech in the USA, engaging in open discourse on public matters. Our discussions may include sensitive topics, unsolved cases, and ongoing investigations. Please remember that all the content is for informational and discussion purposes only. Hypotheses, aka opinions expressed, are not statements of fact. You're encouraged to do critical thinking and independent research. Always consult professionals for legal, medical, or personal advice. Thank you guys so much for stopping by again. And I'm going to go back to the interview from Smiley, because this is where one of the hypotheses have been coming. The speculation, the allegations surrounding a story had come from the stepfather's statements on this interview. And this interview took place on, let's see, what was the exact date of this interview? It was on the 20th of March of 2024. I will be posting all the links in chat for anyone that wants the original link, and all credit to the original creator, Smiley's Story World.
Don't cross that line. I don't care who you are. Is because how much crap he put out there and to the level he has gone to certain topics. There's one topic. Okay. My kids. Don't cross that line. I don't care who you are.
I understand. I'm just saying.
I mean,
it don't even have
one of the reasons it took us a little bit longer to do some of these interviews. Okay, and this is before we started doing interviews and talking with media. We were kind of advised, hold off, don't do that. Well, eventually got to the point we needed to start talking to the media.
Mm-hmm.
The parents, myself, Katie, and Seth, all decided, we made a pact in the beginning. Hey, if we're going to do this, we're going to keep each other in the loop. We're going to talk to each other and ask. We're not just going to go out here and do our own thing. Okay. That has always been our pact. You know, we would call Seth and say, hey, initially he didn't want to do any type of interviews, and we understood that.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I said, hey man, do you want to phone in with us? Do you want to come to the house and we'll do this as a group? What do you want to do? We've tried and we want to do this as a group. You know, unfortunately, somehow, somewhere along the way, we've all kind of gotten off track, and he's kind of gone out and done his thing. We've kind of done our thing. Mrs. Rogers done her thing. I think his sister may have done something. I mean, but it's everybody's getting the word out.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. I just don't want anybody's ego and nobody to get in the way. I mean, I'm just saying, because Katie did say it perfect just a minute ago. And if you can say it for the, for the flyers and stuff, I just want it to be known that, because I always say, and no matter if it's a missing child, I always say it. Sometimes I do little things on just what's in my heart and stuff. Sometimes it could be on freaking, I don't know, it have nothing to do with a person. Sometimes I just get into my feelings sometimes I come on here, and it ends up, somebody says, you don't know what you did you? And it's just a lesson or something. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head right now. But I always say, no matter how little we are, we might take and say something, and then somebody sees it, and then they share it, and it goes on and on and on. And somebody really might be helped by it. Well, it's the same thing with Sebastian. Somebody might share it, come in 2 weeks from now, or hopefully not that long, but and see him somewhere or remember something, and something may click, or it could be tomorrow, tonight, an hour from now, and it really may help. But sometimes you need other creators, and it just needs to all just flow like that. I don't know, no matter how big or how small. And it don't matter to me. I want to kind of promote everybody. If they have a channel and they're good and they have good intentions, I don't care who it is. I don't care what they do. And I just hope that y'all, as the parents of him, don't let your ego get in the way. Just let it roll off, and do what you got to do. Just bring him home. Bring him home. I just hope that makes sense. I hope it's okay advice, and I hope I'm not overstepping saying that. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. Trev is a good guy. I'm glad he did whatever he had to do.
Well, he didn't have to do it. He manned up and apologized, because he made a mistake, and he said, "Look, I know I did. I'm apologizing. Appreciate that, man. That means a lot."
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, all your viewers out there, I want to say, thank everybody, regardless of what your personal opinion is of me, my wife, the situation, the bio father, anybody, it doesn't matter. I personally say thank you for being able to continue to spread the word, be a part of this, and in any form, shape, or fashion. And just know that you got 3 parents missing a son that needs to be home, and compassion is, like I said, in short demand, and could be overfloweth with people out there if we could just find a way to become all one united group, and we can just do this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's sometimes it's hard though. Something pops off, or you hear this, and you gotta just do it. And again, like I told you when I first talked to you through there, I was just like, we got to set our feelings aside. I mean, number one for me is, you have to understand, I have to think of all sides, and I have to do until they say. And I think outside the box. I'm not like any of these other people. I'm not with them. I don't really, there's a couple I might talk to here and there, but I don't work with nobody. Get that straight, everybody, while you're on my channel now. Even these creators wonder, what do you do, Sally? I don't work with nobody. If I want to know something, I'm pretty much going to go to you. If I'm going to call you out, I'll get on here and fire up a live, and I'll call you out. I'm not like these people, but don't put me with everybody else.
Well, I mean,
so but I have my feelings too, and I think what I want, and I say what I want, and sometimes it's not good.
Well, there's like I said, there's information that we still, even as of today, we had a meeting with law enforcement. And we've asked them verbatim, like everything we've been saying, is there anything you want us to change? Is there anything new that we can put out? And honestly, they said exactly what y'all been putting out, the way you've been putting out.
Oh my goodness.
Is exactly.
Did it again without with the darn mute button. I'm so sorry. So what I wanted you guys to listen to in the beginning was the planning of the story, okay? And the organizing that he said went into planning the story. That was the purpose of us reviewing this first. We're going to go back a second where you can hear him say that Seth, his mother, and his sister were not partaking in allegedly this story, this plan, right? I mean, we're listening to the words of the stepfather, but we're still speculating. But we are actually listening to their words, their interview, right? So I don't know the right legality terms that we should use. It's 1 second. Let's see what.
Do what you got to do. Just bring him home. Bring him home.
Here we go.
I just
252.
hope that makes sense.
Mrs. Rogers done her thing. I think his sister may have done something. Come to the house and we'll do this as a group. What do you call Seth and say, hey, initially he didn't want to do any type of interviews, and we understood that.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked, we're going to keep each other in the loop. We're going to talk.
All right, here we go. Here we go. This is what I want you to hear, okay? We're going to hear it one more time because I had a little bit of a glitch. And hi, Trishy. Hey, Lisa. I hope you guys are doing good. So nice to see you and everybody over in the TikTok world and the X world.
To the point we needed to start talking to the media.
Mm-hmm.
The parents, myself.
So he said they needed to start talking to the media. So the parents, right, myself.
To the point we needed to start talking to the media.
Mm-hmm.
The parents, myself, Katie, and Seth, all decided, we made a pact in the beginning. Hey, if we're going to do this, we're going to keep each other in the loop. We're going to talk to each other and ask. We're not just going to go out here and do our own thing. Okay. That has always been our pact. You know, we would call Seth and say, hey, initially he didn't want to do any type of interviews, and we understood that.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I said, hey man, do you want to like phone in with us? Do you want to come to the house and we'll do this as a group? What do you want to do?
So that's why people are speculating that there was a set plan from the beginning, okay? So that's the theory. That's the angle we're looking at tonight.
We've tried and we want to do this as a group. You know, unfortunately, you know, somewhere along the way, we've all kind of gotten off track, and he's kind of gone out and done his thing.
Do you hear that? Was that a little fraudulent slip up? I'm not sure. Do you hear that little tidbit there? We're on regular speed.
This as a group. You know, unfortunately, you know, somewhere along the way, we've all kind of gotten off track, and he's kind of gone out and done his thing. We've kind of done our thing. Mrs. Rogers done her thing. I think his sister may have done something. I mean, but it's everybody's getting the word out.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. I just don't want anybody's ego, and nobody.
Let's have a little reminder on how do you get back into the good graces, I guess, of allegedly being able to be part of this story. But the speculation is, were there parties prior to Sebastian's disappearance that were part of a story? Was there a plot? Was there a plan that didn't involve Seth and his family? And they're trying to find Sebastian, so they're not going to go along with any story, any script, any plan. Right? No. We're speculating now. This is a theory. If there was a set plan and there was people involved before, because it seems like there was definitely a plan in place during, very quick, very implemented, very organized. And what do you have to do in order to stay a part of this pact?
To get in the way. I mean, I'm just saying, because Katie
wrapped up message and he apologized.
Mm-hmm.
He apologized to me and my wife because he made a mistake. He got wrapped up in, I'm going to call it the sauce. He got wrapped up in that with jumping on the bandwagon of assuming and accusing us.
Hey, Brianna.
Now, he went back and he has changed that. He has apologized.
Mm-hmm.
That right there alone, I'll do your show.
Mm-hmm.
Because you did it. You did what you were supposed to do as a man or a woman, excuse me. A new age thing nowadays. Sorry.
I mean, what is this? What is it? Look at this. Is this March 20th? March 20th of 2024. What is this man talking about? You did what you were supposed to do. You apologized. You got wrapped up in whatever. You're supposed to, like, why would people not speculate that there was a plan that was implemented and set in motion? Because it sounds like it. It sounds like it if you're listening to this, doesn't it?
Righteousness, the right thing, that will get you a lot farther than the rest of it. You know, I mean, it's one thing. And that's what I'm saying. JLR, this dude, he's going to have to make a public apology. He's going to have to make it public for me to consider him. And the reason why I say that is because how much crap he put out there and to the level he has gone to certain topics. There's one topic. Okay. My kids don't.
Yeah.
Don't cross that line.
I
don't care who you are.
I understand. I'm just saying.
Okay, so basically he's saying that creators have to make a public apology and then he'll work with you. So then you can make money from him. What is the disconnect here? That you have a missing child and you're saying that nobody can talk about the missing child. Okay. All right. So I heard this in the beginning of it, which is where a lot of my belief in this whole 3 a.m. rumor, remember the rumor was that it was all three parents in the footage, that Seth wasn't at work, that he had left for a few hours. It was very sadly something that was circulated locally and it was circulated online. And thank the Lord above for Jennifer Coffindaffer and others that came out and cleared that horrible smear up. So when you think of that organization, right, and then you know that there was also people involved that became creators, right, boots on the ground that were going door to door. We have a PI that said he got a $15,000 retainer. We have all of this organized scripting, allegedly, and non-allegedly, because a lot of this is out there, right? And it caused people to look at the father for a while, which is horrible because the son disappeared with the mother, and you have a stepfather and a mother that seems to be organizing a story with other people to smear, set up, or what? What? I don't know. We're speculating, we're theorizing, we're looking at all angles, but it looks like there was some sort of a plan to set up the dad from very early on. And you didn't know that, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. And that's what Craddock, he's the officer at the time, he had said, we don't know what we don't know. And it's just really disheartening when you reflect on everything. A lot of us have been here from the beginning. We've seen a very different pattern. I have experience in independent investigative journalism and talk radio. It is a hobby. It is a passion. I like to do it. It's my respite. I haven't been able to in the last few years because I had to take care of my children that had very special medical needs. But I have skills and things that I have developed along the way, utilizing my ability also from my college and my experience in psychology that I could bring to this case from an online case discussion standpoint, that I think is why I have come to these kind of puzzle pieces linking together differently than certain creators, because I didn't come at this as a creator, even though I had some skill set, some knowledge to a lot of manufacturing content, scripting, psychology, behavioral. And then I have a severe, profound autistic child that we were moving to Hendersonville, Tennessee. We were literally selling our house and moving during the time this child disappeared. So we were active in local groups trying to figure out, is this the neighborhood we definitely want to relocate to? We were, the house was on the market, and we're trying to figure out where we're going because we needed specific special doctors for my other son. And there's only 9 or 10 in the country that understand his ultra rare condition. And one of them happened to be locally to Hendersonville. So anybody with children, and especially special needs, a lot goes in to being able to relocate, because you have to have certain doctors, certain specialists. You have to have a lot. And we needed to free up resources and get the heck out of New York because we couldn't afford to do what we needed to do with private care for our children. So we were leaving New York and figuring out where to go. In Tennessee, we had grandma. We had reasons that we wanted to be in Tennessee for personal family reasons, and a doctor that specialized in my son's ultra rare condition. And there was one other state we were looking at, but we're in this, and I'm looking at this from a different perspective, because I'm looking at it from a mom's perspective. I wasn't looking at it from a content creating perspective. So I was watching this unfold in a way that was very different. I wasn't in just one chat room. I wasn't in true crime. I wasn't a part of a community. And I watched the locals, right? Because I was concerned, I'm going to be living there. Why is everybody saying there's kids missing all the time, right? I also really started to get interested, like many others, because we heard that Sebastian was autistic, and you think, oh my gosh, is he nonverbal? Did he elope? Oh, I hope they don't find him in a body of water. All these, sadly, statistics are going through your mind, and it's absolutely horrific, right? But the reason I'm going on this spiel is that when you looked at it from all these perspectives, right, we were seeing something unfold in a way that was very calculated, very manufactured, not organic, didn't make sense. You have local people, you have family, and they weren't acting right. And they're sharing things as if they're authentic. And then you're finding out along the way that they're actually content creators. And there's this story going on. So I was like, wow, this is a lot. And then you find out that the father was at work. This poor man was at work. His son's missing. He's literally at work. He's out there begging and pleading for everybody to help him find his son. And you had the mom and the stepdad on global news, Fox and Friends, showing photographs of Sebastian as a young man. And I'm sure for everybody that's been watching this case, you already saw that. You already know that. I'll show you very quickly what I'm talking about. And then we're going to get into the second part of this, because I know a lot of this seems very redundant for everybody that's continuously been a part of it. But it's important, if you bear with me or you fast forward if you're on the replay, that I am getting to other things that I haven't gotten to in a while. I discussed them a few months ago, but as time goes on, we're speculating and theorizing more and more because we're a year in, and I think it's time to bring out the kitchen table coffee talk. I think it's really important because of the videos dogs put out, and it'll all make sense as we continue moving forward. So if you look at this, there was this interview at Fox and oh my goodness, not again. Hi, Trishy. Hi, everybody in chat. I had it saved here, and now I don't see it. This keeps happening. I have this mysterious issue going on lately where I had playlists that I set up because I'm a one-lady show over here. And honestly, like I used to, Lisa B, I always said, I'm never going to have a contract signed with producers, because we used to have all this stuff when we did talk radio and everything, because I didn't like the fact that you couldn't have your opinion, right? There was always this fine print stuff. Now I'm like, this is the kind of case that I wish that I did have something like that, because it's very tedious and you want it to be concise and organized so that people can understand the nature of Sebastian's story, so he doesn't fall to the back of a filing cabinet and become a cold case, because this child did not just go poof in the night. But it's so hard when, you know, you're doing it on your own, and I'm trying to do it in between everything else. Ugh, it's like really difficult. Okay, so for everybody that hasn't seen this before, I just want to show you very briefly and fast the pictures that were put on Fox and Friends. These are the pictures that were put on Fox and Friends. They're of a very young Sebastian Rogers. You'll see in the next slide, in the next video, that Sebastian was much older. He was already gone through puberty. He had a deeper voice. He was taller, his jawbone, his Adam's apple. I mean, he looks nothing like the little adorable Sebastian that he was when he was younger, right? And this is what the parents decided to put on the national, the biggest network at the time that they had gone on. And I'm saying the parent, meaning the biological mother, and the stepfather, not the father. The father was actually out there, and he was trying to put up photos, and the school released photos that depicted Sebastian's current age and physical appearance. There was also many undertones surrounding this, that Sebastian was not a verbal, that he was not a high functioning autism. It was and it came out, it was a new diagnosis. He actually had a chromosomal deletion syndrome that has learning disabilities, and it can affect different parts of you physically and developmentally, sometimes with social and emotional. You know, there's a lot of things. I think we're all on the spectrum sometimes, right? In one way or another. But they were trying to make it and insinuate that these undertones and insinuations that he was profound to severe. They brought out that he was in incontinence, right? Pull-ups, things of that nature, that it's very uncomfortable to even mention and talk about, but these are things that we do have to say, because it's a year and there needs to be justice, or needs to be found. And it turned out none of these things were true. So they were out there saying all of this stuff that didn't make sense. He didn't have the same experiences when he was with his actual father, with his real dad. And this is just just showing you. I mean, look at it. He's a little tiny Sebastian, like a little boy. He's under his mom's bosom, right? He's small. Why would you show pictures if you're looking for your son like that? I mean, it just makes absolutely no sense. And then when you look at how grown he is here. In the Texas Roadhouse footage that was released from Dog the Bounty Hunter, and I believe it's At Night, the intelligence agency, and their affiliates. Hi, Brandy. Ebony, how are you? Ebony, I've been talking a little bit about that. You remember back in the summer and in the fall with the wood guy that allegedly was a relative? I've been kind of going over that again all this time later, because it was a family member, allegedly. And when we listen to such conversations by the stepdad about organizing a story and everybody sticking together, and then he, insinuates, well, not insinuates, he flat out says that Seth and his family, went off to do their own thing. It just makes you really concerned for how organized is this, right? That's why we're speculating on it. And this is the last night that Sebastian was seen was the 25th. It's been updated for a year, pretty much almost. It was known as the 26th of February. A Monday was the last time that he was seen, but in reality, it was actually the 25th. That was the last time, a Sunday, that he was actually documented to have been seen before he disappeared, which Jennifer Coffindaffer, again, is the reason it seems like that finally was updated and changed. And that's just so disconcerting, because why would you want people to look for... People are not going to look for Sebastian because they didn't know what he looked like, is what I'm trying to say. So when it was national and I saw that, I mean, I was just shocked. It was just shocking. really shocking. And got my notes over here, guys. 1 second. So when you think of the organization of a script, and then we're going to just take a look at this, it was alleged that Katie went down, which is his mom, to the Texas Roadhouse in a panic, asking the manager, asking her to leave. That's what one rumor here locally, right? Because now I've relocated to Tennessee, obviously, and I get a lot of information from people that are here. I'm not getting information and speculation just off of the internet or on Reddit or anything like that. I am making hypothesis and having discussions with you all from a very different standpoint. And it was said that she did go down there. There was a disturbance. I think it was the hired private investigator. Now, remember, the news said when she was on the news recently on the 1-year anniversary of Sebastian's disappearance, or where he just went poof like a ninja kind of situation that Chris said, awful to hear those things, that Stephen Fisher, which is a private investigator known as SF Investigates, is hired to represent Katie Proudfoot. Even though he said on the Lore Lodge that he was representing Sebastian Rogers, he is retained by Katie Proudfoot. That was exactly what was said. It wasn't actually said that he was Chris Proudfoot's PI, but that he was Katie Proudfoot's. Not saying that he's not both of theirs, because he probably is. But that was what was just said on the record, on the news. And they went to Texas Roadhouse together, and she was all in a tizzy. And you would think that you would want that most recent photo, less than 12 hours since your son disappears, to be the photo plastered all over the globe, wouldn't you? So that everybody's looking for exactly what he looked like. Where are those photos? What happened to them? We'll get into that in a little bit, because we're going to go over what the stepfather said happened to those photos on the Elevated Truth podcast on December 20th, when he discusses Texas Roadhouse and Green Hoodie. And yeah, we're going to go into that in a minute. But if you're looking, you'll see it seems like he's being scalded in a way. And she's looking around for somebody, and he's looking quite depressed, right? Aloof, kind of like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. It's very heartbreaking to watch when you're looking at it from a perspective of all of these different pieces of the last year, from the standpoint of all we have heard, 5 CPS reports, asking his teachers for help, stepfather claiming that he wanted to get me out of the house. He thought he could get him out of the house. He was asking for help. He wanted to have the stepdad out of the house. It's just awful when you think about everything that we learned. The hitting him with a belt. The throwing his belongings out. It was alleged on Elevated Truth by Cluminate that she and other people there were talking about how they met with Katie and Barbecue Lady, and how Katie got rid of Sebastian's belongings and donated them to Goodwill 2 weeks after he disappeared. They were looking at behavioral schools to put him in. When you think of all of those factors, this was very different to look at a year later with all the information, right? And she had said this was the best day ever. This is all thanks to hindsight 2002 for taking clips and putting them together, because I think it's very important that we work together as a community, not just for Sebastian, but for all children, because we should be coming together to do the right thing for our most vulnerable. And we don't want bad things to become more emboldened by thinking that you can use the power of the almighty dollar and the internet and content creators to frame people, to do fake abductions, to have fake missing persons, or heaven forbid, get away with murder. I think that we should be united and coming together and spreading awareness for Sebastian and crowdsource for the good. And this goes on for a while. Okay, this woman was texting back and forth for a while. On my TV, it almost looked like she had two phones. My husband thinks that there was two phones. So I have a friend of mine that is really into the technology component, that's trying to analyze to see if he can differentiate that there indeed are two different phones. But at the moment, I don't know for sure. I can just say that we're speculating that there is a burner phone, potentially, and there is also a regular phone. Randy, that is a very valid point, and I think that's what a lot of us have been talking about. Wait, what? How are you? Tasha, Natalie, how are you doing? We have 3 places we're streaming. Little Red, hi. I'm going to email you back. My phone died when I was emailing you, and I'll give you my contact number. I look so forward to talking to you. I'd love to do that. It would be my honor. Now, what I want to highlight again is the fact that it seems very organized, right? The stories are not matching. Even Deception Detective in his first, his first analysis, right? His first video on the interview from Chris and Katie said he didn't feel that they were telling us everything. But if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm mistaking what he said with somebody else, but he said he didn't see signs that they, harmed him, right? But that there is something they were being very deceptive about, right? Like it wasn't an intentional something or other. And that was his behavioral statement analysis, right? And I wanted to really reference that because it looks to me, when you look at it, that is that person over by the bar area going to be coming in and sitting there? Was he the one that was receiving these videos and texts? Was he? Possibly, potentially, allegedly.
He took a flashlight.
And just a reminder that people often say, well, who would say that they had no shoes? Because that's a sign of something bad, right? And who would say these things, the flashlight and the shoes? It was because they were asked about it. And that's something that hindsight also clipped, which is wonderful. But they were asked about that. They didn't offer that information up. So in the new released Texas Roadhouse footage, Dog the Bounty Hunter posted it early this morning. There is a clip that hindsight has highlighted. And in this clip, it's kind of what I was talking about last night. You have the yellow coat guy and the green hoodie guy or woman. And you can notice how he stopped in front of the car. There's also something interesting with those cars, but I don't want to go on too many tangents with you tonight. So let's just focus on the main people right now, if that's all right. Because there could be a lot of people involved if you go and listen to how organized the stepfather was in his discussion, just willy-nilly on a live stream. So you see the yellow coat guy, right? He stopped, what it seems like he stopped right in front of the car. See? Got some kind of envelope or something on his left arm. Right in front of their car. And I'm wondering if the cars were switched. Then he proceeds inside. He's looking right at the camera. right? Right at the camera. Where'd my playlist go?
How do they know he took a flashlight? Well, I asked that very same question today,
Then
and
we
I
have
was
the
so
outdoor.
glad that Sebastian's mother explained it to me, because when I read that news article, I was like, well, how?
So you can see the times. There's the yellow coat guy. Sebastian's going to get in. I wonder even if the person that was working there knew some of the people. There goes Green Hoodie.
People next door, I told you that they didn't think it's an older couple. They've got cameras on the front corner and back corner of their house, and they told TBI and Sheriff's Office Department that their camera wasn't working. Well, they came back 2 weeks later and went around, and I told you they started.
Oops, sorry, that kept playing. There was also musical cars that had gone on in the parking lot. But in the new footage, you have, sorry guys, I'm a little distracted. 1 second. Okay. So this is the first one that was put out. Here, this is when Green Hoodie appears. Okay, but I'm trying to get to the first one. Where'd the first one go? I'm trying to go fast here because I know everybody's time is valuable, so we can get to the points of what some of you may not have seen yet. Where the heck did it go here? Okay, that was inside. Speed it up here so you can see the behavior and watch it change, because it looks like she's looking around, waiting for someone, allegedly, possibly. I'm going to play you what Chris said about Green Hoodie. I'm going to pull that up next. The timestamp written down. Okay. Timestamp. Yeah, KJ, I know that's been said for a long time, and I don't know who Yellow Coat Guy is, but he looks a lot like the alleged family member that was searching in the beginning as well. He looks a lot like that guy that was walking around barefoot in the woods as well. And I know there's been a lot of stuff that's been put out that, that says that it was this other person, but there's been intentional distractions and a scripted story narrative that's come across really, really articulate, right? And coordinated from the beginning, because Smiley's was in March, right? Where they discussed all of this. And this person was making content, was doing live streams of the search. There was a lot of extremely unsettling and very disturbing videos as well while hashtagging and allegedly searching for Sebastian. He was depicting horror movie scenes and images of things that looked like human meat that looked bloody, and it just, Trishy's, you saw some of the things. Ebony, I think you remember some of that back then. I know Trishy wasn't around back then, but it was awful. And this was an alleged family member of potentially Katie, right? And we're going to get to that in a moment, that we weren't allowed to ever talk about the children or the family. In fact, Seth was, in my opinion, it came across like he was being threatened by the PI, to the PI, when Chris had that leaked phone call come out of him and Heather Cohen, right? Because, well, we're going to hear all of it in a moment. So it's just a lot of stuff that's very unsettling, because what if Sebastian was there and he knew that some of Katie's family or somebody he knew was also there and he wasn't going to go? He didn't want to go. What if he didn't want to go? And she's saying, you're going, you're leaving, we're done. You're going to go to your aunt so-and-so's, and, you'll be back in a month or two. It'll be good for you, because as we heard from the stepdad on Duchess, there was custody next week, and he hoped that he'd be back with an update, with good news to tell everyone. So you have a lot of ways of looking at means, motives, opportunity from different standpoints. So they're exiting, right? And then we'll see. Let me speed this up. The yellow raincoat guy exiting and holding the door for them. Right? And then you see Sebastian almost go to that car. Well, was that the car he was used to getting in, but they had swapped cars that day? I don't know. Speculating. Very uneasy. He doesn't, seem to be thrilled with whoever's in this green hoodie. They motion for Katie to come to them or whatever. There's lots of times that it looks almost like there's camera checks. In my opinion. See, he's watching. He's watching. Makes you wonder, right? Makes you wonder. And then when you come back, so then they're going to proceed to leave. He'll go off camera. This is when they arrive. Oops, we don't need to hear my big mouth. This is when they arrived. The people in the white pickup truck were leaving, right? Switch to the daytime. This is when Sebastian and his mother arrived at Texas Roadhouse. We're paying attention to the vehicles, right? Because if this was very organized, like the story seems to be so organized with different people and different creators or AKA creators, how do we know that it wasn't an organized thing that was planned this night? We don't, right? We're using speculation. But I want you to just see the musical cars and how this one girl gets out of her car, takes a good look, and then checks in, looks right where the camera is, leaves, and then the truck comes over. It just seems like we were all lining up in certain positions. It's very interesting. You can see they're pulling into the parking spot, right? They came right in as soon as that white pickup truck left. Katie and Sebastian are already there. They're about to get out of the car. You'll see they parked. Here, down on the left. They seem to turn around and look at the camera, almost like they're checking in. See them get out? They have really dark, short hair, but it looks almost reddish. If you look at it on your TV, if you go to the, to Dog the Bounty Hunter's YouTube, I'll post it in chat again. You can see a much better version. Obviously, it's a little easier. But they get out, they look annoyed, and they do it almost like they checked in with the camera, like they were annoyed that they already had to pull out. Like, oh, go. They need to park. They're here. They're going to park. In my opinion, possibly. It's a hypothesis. You'll see this white pickup truck zoom right in. And we don't know where that car goes. If you watch and watch and watch, you see somebody, they have like shorts on. I don't know if it's allegedly could be the stepdad. I'm speculating. I don't know. But it's very interesting because only somebody gets out of the passenger side of the pickup truck and proceeds to enter Texas Roadhouse. You can't see anybody getting out of this vehicle. And then when they're exiting to leave, Sebastian looks like he wants to get into another car. Could that other car be this car that parks here as soon as the black pickup leaves? Could these people all be together? Is that a possibility? Could Yellow Raincoat Guy be a bigger player? Well, let's listen to what Chris Proudfoot told us on Elevated Truth podcast about Green Hoodie. What did he say about this Green Hoodie person? We know Ellie has said it's of no evidence, doesn't have any evidence of them having anything to do with anything at that time. We don't know what's changed after that statement was written. We have no idea. They're never going to tell us everything. They're not supposed to. We're not law enforcement. We're speculating. It's an online case discussion that we need to keep out there because the more that we talk about Sebastian, the likelihood of other people thinking, oh, I remember something strange. I remember something odd. and they could call in, and then Sebastian could be found, or justice can be, given for people if they're involved. And I think that it is really disheartening if everybody's going to discredit the potential of influencers being involved in some way, shape, or form, that there could be a potential of people that could have been involved that then decided to be influencers during this as a guise. You never know. The reason I say this is because, unlike many cases, this entire thing has been all about small channels and control. Chris has said, message me on Facebook, the stepdad, over and over and over. It's been all about me from them. What people think, what people say, controlling the story, give them a public apology, and I'll do your show. Or you got to do this and you got to do that. It's been very calculated and very organized. So to think that there's not a chance that there could be involvement playing out online as well, I think is nonsensical in the discussions. And I'm not going to discount the theories and the speculations, the allegations and the rumor mill on all of that a year in from people. Everybody that discusses it, I think, has a valid reason for bringing it up.
I wanted to point that out because that goes to the prior conversation we were having. And once again, it is an opportunity to squash some nonsense, but it also brings into conversation, why would that story have been created?
Right. So my answer to that is real simple. I don't know why what was said was said. What I do know is what I was told. And that's what I told you is what I was told. I'm not going down this road to say, well, he said this and it meant I'm not. We're not doing that. Once again, if my answer to that is real simple. I don't know why what was said. We're not doing that. Once again, if people ain't figured this out, I'm not. An interview a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Lost at the beginning of February, but that you couldn't say why, or I can't remember the exact
I
verbiage.
couldn't tell you the exact date. And
Oh,
I'm
okay.
still not going to tell you the exact date.
If I guessed it, would you tell me?
Once again, ma'am, I'm sorry, but that is one thing that law enforcement asked not to be released.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And I said that in an interview a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Law enforcement does not want that information out there. I am not releasing it. It's just know the last time I saw Sebastian was early February. Okay. Until I came home February 26th. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, I understand.
Now, this green hoodie guy, do you know anything about that? Can Katie explain, or can you explain why this gentleman was next to the car? What that actual, like, what was happening in that footage? Is that footage correct?
What I can tell you about that is law enforcement has talked to Katie. They've been able to answer all their questions. And once again, there is nothing to that situation. I mean, law enforcement even put out a statement. There's nothing to do with it. There's nothing.
Right.
No, that would be the result of, Seth being so vocal. Sorry, not sorry.
Well, and to be fair, they're saying green hoodie's a suspect, Venezuela gangs are suspects.
So are we hearing what he said about the green hoodie? Law enforcement called Katie, for whatever reason, Elevated Truth coughs. We know there's a lot of scripting and a lot of and things that seem to happen.
That is one thing that law enforcement asked not to be released.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And I said that in an interview a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Law enforcement does not want that information out there. I am not releasing it. It's just know the last time I saw Sebastian was early February. Okay. Until I came home February 26th. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, I understand.
Now, this green hoodie guy, do you know anything about that? Can Katie explain, or can you explain why this gentleman was next to the car? What that actual, like, what was happening in that footage? Is that footage correct?
What I can tell you about that is law enforcement has talked to Katie. They've been able to answer all their questions. And once again, there is nothing to that situation. I mean, law enforcement even put out a statement. There's nothing to do with it. There's nothing.
Hear the laughing? It has nothing to do with it. It's a different situation. So does that mean that you actually know the people that were there that night then? just seems very interesting, don't you think? One moment, I'm just trying to fix this. Let's see. So this was the leaked call, and I have this downloaded in case it disappears. That's the link. I want you to hear, again, a little more about... Why is this not working here? Let's see. What was said by the stepdad, and how there was a PI, apparently, that law enforcement was supposed to be talking to this PI instead of talking directly to Seth. There was weird statements said on this call, weird keywording on this call that makes it almost seem like there was some organization going on. Was she part of this conversation when they made this plan and this pact that Seth wouldn't go along with? It makes you wonder, right? So let's just listen to this and hear about what happens if you're going to look into the family or talk to law enforcement. Literally, you don't think that Sebastian's dad should talk to law enforcement. He should have to get his information through a third party PI that's more of a actress on a TV show than a private investigator, in a lot of people's opinions. You'll hear for yourself and then form your own hypothesis.
I gathered, now this is just me assuming, so we know that how that goes. I may be way off, but I feel like it had something to do with this conversation with Bobby Simmons, because Bobby has started communicating with him again.
Yeah, how convenient.
Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't even talked to Seth since last night. He told me to take a break. That's good.
So once again, your client.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I haven't even talked to
I haven't even talked to Seth since last night. He told me to take a break a couple days ago. He told me to take a break. So
yeah, how convenient.
Yeah, so I don't know. I gathered, now this is just me assuming, so we know that how that goes. I may be way off, but I feel like it had something to do with this conversation with Bobby Simmons, because Bobby has started communicating with him again instead of going through me.
In my opinion, it seems like a lot of times I can see other people's opinions, I mean, where it seems like it's very organized and everything that's been released is a plan. So they're not organic fights, they're scripted fights. You know, it seems very scripted and very odd, right? Because why are you saying that he's going to talk directly to Ellie instead of going through me? And didn't she run from the case shortly after this? And isn't SF Investigates the one that now is hired by the Proudfoots connected to her? I just find this all unsettling a little bit myself, just a little. But did you hear that? Very interesting.
Simmons, because Bobby has heard, now this is just me assuming, so we know that how that goes. I may be way off, but I feel like it had something to do with this conversation with Bobby Simmons, because Bobby has started communicating with him again instead of going through me. So that line of communication's opened back up, and I don't know.
We'll see for how long.
Yeah.
We will see.
I promise you, if Bobby told Seth anything of what he's told us, Seth opens his fucking mouth. I promise you, it won't ever open again.
Yeah.
So he's not supposed to be talking to law enforcement. Apparently, Chris is able to stop the father's communication with law enforcement about his son's disappearance, while the stepfather and mother are circulating younger photos to this day even. And he threatens everybody constantly. It comes across as a threat not to talk about his children or his family. Well, what if there was a family member at Texas Roadhouse? What if Green Hoodie was a family member of somebody's? What if Yellow Raincoat is a family member of the mom? What if that's possible? What if this Yellow Raincoat was a family member? And nobody's allowed to talk about it.
Well,
Seth is not allowed to find out about it. He can't know who was at Texas Roadhouse. He's not supposed to know. Is that a possible speculation?
I'm just as much in the dark right now about what's going on as anybody else. Like, I'm not getting updates. I have no idea.
Thank goodness for that.
So, and that's what anybody who's reached out to me, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yes. Petra, since you're continuously talking. Usually I answer questions, but in between what we're explaining. And just so you know, when you are looking for a missing child, you don't want your private investigators to all be working in unison with other people. It's like a very serious conflict of interest, I would think. One would hypothesize. So please don't try to derail chat, because we already have our opinions on fact over here with certain things. We can have nice open discussions, but if we're here just to distract, I've been on to that for a long time. I think many of us are, and we're just not going to do that. Okay. We're not distracting.
Can you get in touch with Chloe?
What's that?
I said, when you get in touch with Chloe, I suggest you tell that bitch to lose my fucking number.
Okay. Do I have to say it? Do I have to say it like that?
Sure. Yeah, you can tell her my. You can tell her those are my fucking words, not yours. Mine.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of feel bad for Chloe right now.
Oh, I don't. When you're a fucking amateur PI and you do some stupid shit like she's done, you explain to me how anything, and I've even told you this, how the certain things that y'all have done on fucking YouTube and all this shit, how the fuck it does anything to help find Sebastian other than just put shit out there. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It has left y'all down a what? Completely empty fucking road.
Yeah. Well, we never, I mean, obviously we haven't found them, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got thinking about this the other night when you and I talked. And you said you don't want to sound like a liar or anything. You're right, you don't. And that's great. But now you got information out there that actually has absolutely fucking zero to do with anything.
You hear that? You didn't want to sound like a liar. He's talking about going back and forth with Seth's PI. Are we hearing this? I mean, are people, law enforcement, please tell me you're deep diving the YouTubers and alleged content creators. Please. I am sure they are. I know Sumner County is amazing. They have done everything in the search for Sebastian, and I know TBI has been. But I think that there's been so much drama that goes on. A lot of things could be being overlooked because the noise doesn't get separated. So I would really look into how all of this has gone into place, because it's unsettling when you hear about the family. What gets him very mad is the family, right? Even though I wouldn't doubt that these are staged, a lot of these are staged, there's still trigger points to get you away from looking at family. I mean, anybody that knows about the internet knows that your whole life is looked into. There's nothing you can do about it. You just deal with it and you move on, right? You can't control if you're adopted. You can't control who you're born from. You can't control your ancestry. You have no control over that. You have control over who you are as a person, your character. That's all that matters. But for some reason, this stepdad and mom have been very odd on the narrative from the beginning on the Fox and Friends interview, right? From the very, very, very beginning of this. They did not want people to talk about certain things, especially them, right? Very early on in the first interview on the Fox and Friends. I want you to see where it comes up on the Fox and Friends, the international interview, the first one, the main big news network. They're worried about what people are thinking and saying about them.
Everybody will finally have their answers. It's their personal opinion.
And Chris, the stepfather, has insinuated on almost every show that there's something they all know that you don't know. And eventually you'll know. Eventually you'll know.
It's sad that people have resorted to this kind of rhetoric and verbiage and harassment, but you know, at the end of the day, it's their opinion. But the truth will come out, and then when it does, everybody will finally have their answers.
Miss Prophet, did your son Sebastian have?
The truth will come out, and then eventually everyone will finally have their answers. Which is very interesting words, isn't it? Because what if the truth lies with family? Which is, you're not allowed to discuss. You're not allowed to talk about, because listen, again, to this quote unquote leaked call. And I'm not saying the leak call wasn't authentic. 10 things can be true at the same time. People could have all different reasons. People can realize, oh, wait a minute, I was going to go along with this, but the kid wasn't really supposed to disappear for good. He was supposed to reappear and he's supposed to be okay. Then you have other people that could have been like, oh, you know, I was going along with this when I didn't think you did anything. And I thought there was footage and I thought there was all of this stuff showing that you guys didn't do anything or have any involvement and you don't have any knowledge of what happened. But now I'm starting to think you have a lot of knowledge and you may be involved in his disappearance. So I don't want anything to do with this. Then you also have another part of it that could be like, oh, I can make a lot of money off of this if I use this for a movie, a Netflix documentary, podcast, YouTube shows. So there's lots of reasons people could behave and act in the manner that they act at the same time that somebody else can think that their psychological warfare and propaganda campaign is going to work on you irregardless. Even if they're manufacturing and scripting fights and things, they could still know that somebody might have bad intentions, but they're going to use that to their benefit. So we're going to have you seeing Sebastian as a younger child because potentially, hypothetically, right, allegedly, we're going to say that there is a potential that if you keep seeing us put him out there as a younger child, then you're going to assume, oh, he's okay. We just don't want you to recognize him and find him. But he's out there and he's fine. We just don't want you to recognize and find him, right? Just like putting out there, oh, well, law enforcement won't let us tell y'all, but you're going to know. I can't wait till I can tell you. And all the psychological mumbo jumbo that is used in psychological warfare, in my opinion, has been all over Sebastian's disappearance. And here we are over a year with a father that still doesn't know where his son is. And it's absolutely atrocious behavior. It's atrocious. Where is this child?
That's caused a fucking shitstorm.
Which statement?
Releasing Katie's parents' personal information, showing Katie's past. Said she has it, but she wasn't going to release it. It caused a fucking shitstorm. And now everybody went out there and got it and released it.
Oh, she said Katie's mom's name?
She didn't say the name. She just insinuated she had the information.
I mean, we do have the information, but...
Yeah, and let me tell you what the fuck it started. Now all that information is out in the fucking open. And somebody better fucking explain to me very goddamn quickly Preferably her.
I have, yeah.
Fuck that head. Any goddamn thing.
I have no idea.
Yeah, because I'm gonna
because I don't know what was said.
That bitch better find a way to stop it.
So why would he be so mad about that? Why would he be so upset about Katie's mother's name being out there? Because we found out there was a lot of stuff, right, that went into the whole family on that side. But there was something specific about the mom. There was something specific about not wanting that to be out, right? That we didn't understand. They didn't want anybody talking about the family. Nobody could talk about it. Could it be possible that they didn't want anybody knowing that there could be potential involvement by a family member the night that he disappeared? Is that possible? Look at this guy. I'll make sure this is on the highest quality. Take a good look because I'm going to show you the searcher that was searching for Sebastian. That was, oh my gosh, you can't see. Hold on, guys. I am so sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. Okay. So you're going to take a good look at this guy. I want you to take a good look because then I'm going to show you the searcher that's allegedly a family member, potentially of the mother. That's alleged. That was out there searching for Sebastian. So this creator, searcher, possibly is very, very, very blurry. When you zoom in to this person, comes across very blurry, unfortunately, on the footage. This is what they look like. And then I will show you a video they made the day before Sebastian disappeared. That is what many of us found concerning and disheartening.
The process of Judgment Day based on the
Do you see this
Bible.
guy right
Let's
here?
watch it.
Before the judgment seat of Christ, receive the things done in the body, whether they be good.
Kind of looks similar if we're speculating. He was an influencer and a creator and a searcher, right? Influencer, creator, searcher, alleged relative. And this video was made by this person the day before Sebastian disappeared, February 24th. It says, knock him dead, kid. as you can see, it's of a child or a young teen. It seems like a young teen, all in black, walking away with an airplane and different things. And it was posted the day before. The shoes, all in black. Can't see their face. It's very interesting, isn't it? His real name, Tina? No. We know what his influencer name was. And of course, everything was called in, you know, as it was going on, because there was a lot of live streams that were being done that were alarming, to say the least. To some people would have found them, said that, you know, they were very disturbing and alarming as well. It was very peculiar behaviors. Let's go back for a moment while I pull up other videos for you to see. There was also another video that was posted on the same day that is a little concerning. You'll see it's the same day. I don't know why the lag, but it'll catch up in a second. You remember this, right, Ebony? And it says, I am not okay. You can see the dread in my eyes because I'm struggling to survive. And you think that I'm okay because I won't let you see my true face. And you feel like there is no help. I am not okay. I am not okay. And this is that person. Like I said, they did a lot of horror movie style stuff and hashtagging while searching for Sebastian. I remember Serafini with the popcorn tooth situation. That was something else somebody mentioned, that there was multiple popcorn looking teeth and stuff. In their opinion. And that's just a little piece of what was posted that day. They have a full-fledged face mask on as well in the clip on the 24th. And then there was something very little, just, ugh. So let's go back to Sebastian and Katie eating dinner at the Texas Roadhouse. I don't know why this is happening with the lagging and everything. So odd. This is another video that the creator put out. There was lots of videos of him before, after, walking around in the local woods, barefoot, even depicting some very unsettling scenery. Can you see this? I'm trying to show you guys other pictures from my phone. I just want to also show one more. So in this one, they're talking about, they show how to stay off grid. Oh, wait. You'll see.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Oops. I don't know what just happened. I hit the wrong button. And apparently we did a search for a V. There was a video that was created as well during the searching. That showed people how to stay anonymously in the local area using burner phones. How to come help search for Sebastian without being traceable. Allegedly, to search for Sebastian without being traceable. You could read in the bottom, but in the short, unfortunately, it shows, you know, the channel name, not the actual. It's hard to see the text underneath. Says, I have a thought. I off-camera interviewed RV and Camp State Park employees. I learned that an RV length restrictions is in place 20 feet only in Wildersville, Tennessee, Natchez Trace State Park. Cannot park an RV over 20 feet into a camping spot. Hardly any cameras. Plus, a lot of visitors moving within and out of the camping area are open year-round per state park employees. So here's my thought. Anyone can use this app, find a spot, no traffic, no cameras, only fake info typed in. Lease a spot on a burner phone with a Walmart prepaid card. Anyone can purchase, right? ? They add money at the register now. All you need is $5 shovel. Just a thought. Sebastian Rogers will be found. There was also a comment that was made by Chris about Sebastian's name is supposed to be Sebastian when they asked him how he got his name. Not Sebastian, the way everybody says Sebastian when they're asking for the root of the name. And he said, no, it was actually Sebastian. And he went into an explanation on that. And if you'd like, I could play that for you, where he said that on one of the interviews. I'm just putting it out there, considering it was interesting that this alleged possible relative, searcher, influencer had been, stating that it was SAB instead of SEB, even though he had flyers and many videos that he held up, and he would go around putting them in the restrooms, which we all know you never want to put children's photos in restrooms. There is even some things that were put up that have SA hashtagged with Sebastian's name, as he put flyers in restrooms and things of that nature. It was very disturbing in some ways. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that there was lots of burner phone talk and things, sadly. And I can't understand any of this. Obviously, we're just speculating, hypothesizing, and just going over a couple things that may be different than what you're used to hearing. It may be a little different. So this was on March 24th. They said, I started my solo search for Sebastian, Sabastin Rogers, March 23rd, 8:30 a.m., Natchez Trace State Park. I began at Red Leaves Trail, posted sign. I searched 3 hours, then drove 114 miles to Rockland Recreation. Wonder where those anonymous tips came from. Oh, didn't Seth say Katie got the tip from the Facebook group? Very unsettling, right? I don't know. Potentially. We're hypothesizing. Yeah, Brianna, it's very sad and unfortunate that TikTok, this is what we've always been concerned about, right? We don't want bad things to ever happen and then to be able to be overlooked because people can use social media to get away with things and to have alibis and things potentially even, right? But the thing is, TikTok, even though he was out there with the local fixers that many people call them, right? He was out there searching when Cluminati was searching, when Cletus was searching. He was kind of not really ever discussed, right, on their channels, oddly. Even though he was in and out of the Facebook groups and there was tags back and forth with different creator people, searchers, whatever they are. You didn't hear much about him. And the disheartening part about this was if you weren't watching those threads and seeing how odd they were, I don't know how many people even knew he existed, to be honest. There wasn't many views and things. And TikTok, when the lives are over, they're gone. They're just gone. There is a lot of videos he posted showing how many of his videos were removed because, like I said, they had a very unsettling undertone with things that mimic blood and meat, and TikTok would remove them right away. So sometimes there'd be a video that you would see and it would be gone. And then, you know, I think a few people had the discernment to just record them. Something felt really wrong. Something didn't seem right, you know. So I don't think a lot of the videos are out there. Unfortunately. But I'm a big believer in Jesus Christ, you know, and I'm a big believer that Almighty God has full control over things, and sometimes things don't make sense. But the way I look at it is, you know, there's like holy connections sometimes that happen, and you just have to listen to the way that God guides you. And I didn't want to be talking about this. I didn't want to be sharing this, but, you know, people have been talking about it for a while since we talked about it months ago and wanting to talk about it more ever since the Texas Roadhouse videos came out. And I decided that I'm just going to listen to God and we're going to have this show and we're going to talk about it and figure out what these holy connections are. We got to trust law enforcement to figure it out and dog to figure it out. And I know that Dog the Bounty Hunter, you know, he's a big believer as well. And I just hope that Sebastian's found. And I hope that there's justice for whatever this all is. And whatever we can do to help keep his name out and raise awareness is important. But if there is any missing puzzle pieces that were right in front of our face all along, I want to make sure that we can all discuss them. And there's been such division and intentional dividing and intimidation and smear campaigns and cloning accounts, and that I think a lot of us haven't been able to come together. And it's heartbreaking. It really is. So I thank you all for being here and trying to keep Sebastian's name out there and doing it with, you know, respect and dignity to him, unlike the way that some things have been said about him. because this young man is a sorry, I get a little emotional. Doesn't deserve any of what's happened, and it's so disturbing.
So area here, look at that. You ever been?
The reason that I was bringing up Seth and we're hypothesizing on all of this is that it does seem like there was organization to try to make Seth appear as a suspect in his son's disappearance. Like they've been lying to this man about his son and misleading him, misdirecting him, and trying to get the public and potentially law enforcement to think that he was behind Sebastian's disappearance. It's just so heartbreaking when you hear the call from Heather Cohen and you hear, you know, the lies about, well, we'll play that next. We'll play the neighbor when they were trying to insinuate locally, not just online, that they saw Seth in the footage outside the house in the middle of the night videos. And add in the push for it to be February 26th, which was the day that Katie filed for divorce against him. Just heartbreaking. I cannot imagine what that man's going through. And I pray for him all the time. I can't imagine. But thank God that Sebastian has a dad and a grandma and an aunt and a family that isn't going to listen to anybody controlling a narrative, making a story, scripting or laying rules. Nobody can get in his way between him and talking to law enforcement. So that Sebastian can get justice, he can be found. Because my God, how many roadblocks were put up so that seems like that didn't happen, right? It really seems like there was a real effort not to allow his father to be directly involved in finding him. It's horrible, in my opinion.
If I can smell it. Wow. So area here, look at that. You ever been? If I can smell it. Wow. It's been burnt.
There's a spot right there.
In this one, he says, this was on March 24th, and he says, Rockland Recreation kicked everyone out. Rockland Recreation 32324 while searching for Sabastin, Sebastian Rogers. We, in capital letters, volunteers, relocated down the hill to Hickory Lake to discuss next search spots. I guess Chris Proudfoot is going to sue me too at JLR. Missing persons, missing kids, Seth Rogers, missing children, recreation, and all these hashtags. So he says we, the volunteers, went down and they discussed where they were going to search next. And there was live streams on TikTok as well with the people that he was with. And I'm sure a lot of people can speculate and think about maybe some of the people that he may have been meeting with and searching with, potentially. Yes, Trishy, he did. Yes. I'll pull up that video. See. See what else was this one is. Just all the hashtags, different weird places that they were mapping. Let's see. This was another time they were searching, and it was let's see. Some places I search for missing people. Has a horror movie vibes. Sebastian Rogers, missing since April 26th. And there was some cryptic, unsettling stuff that was posted around that time too in April. I don't know why he changed it to April 26th in a bunch of his videos instead of 2/26. I'm not sure. No, not that I see. If anybody else has anything documented that we could see where he searched for other people, that would be great to share. But it doesn't seem like there's any other people that he's ever searched for. It just seems like it's Sebastian. Just one moment. Let me get this other. Oops. Let's play.
Foundation. I did want to let you know that if you reach out to Lamar
and things of that
for you to make, and I don't really have any particular. Hey Josh with the lab, thank you for being here. If there was a comment deleted, it may be because we asked for people not to discuss other creators in the chat.
Just wanted to hear a couple more clips that were said on some of these interviews. KJ, no, he has completely wiped his accounts. No, it's an off-grid spot. I'll show you, Little Red. It's an off-grid, he calls it a secret spot. And like I've said, it has been sent in. I just don't know, you know, if all the videos have been seen, like in red. And there's so much to Sebastian's disappearance, right? That I think it's important for us to have these discussions, just to make sure that it doesn't jog the memories of someone else that says, I remember hearing this, or I saw this. I mean, since he did wander into the area before Sebastian was missing, and he's just, you know, he is like a nomad, right? But he has a place to live if you look at his content. It's very odd. It was very odd. It was all very odd. But anytime you try to ask questions about him and why people were okay with his horror movie style content, you know, you just couldn't. And then they just flat out acted like they didn't even know he existed. And that was really crazy to me. That was really crazy. In my opinion, some people that literally searched with him on live stream. I know, Little Red. It's so hard. It really is. Yes, Little Red. I mean, I'm hoping, I'm sure somebody, right? Law enforcement or somebody, but I'll show that next. The off-grid area.
So if someone has mentioned another creator, we ask people not to discuss other creators in the live stream. So that comment may have been removed, but no one has been blocked.
Well, I believe
that I can tell. So,
well, I believe looking at a comment here, Michelle Macklin and Beautiful Sunflower have got some comments up here saying that I brought up another group comment, which I did. Something that was in Trevor's and something about JLR. I did bring those up. So if I violated those rules, then I apologize. That was not, you know, but I was just stating what I have seen that's out there and what has been brought to my
and you're
attention.
fine. And listen, if you want to talk to JLR, that is your prerogative. And if you don't want to talk to him, you're not required to. You don't have to be pressured into doing anything that you don't want to. If he reached out to you and you didn't respond to him, I mean, that's a personal decision for you to make. And I don't really have any particular stance on it. You know, you're free to discuss with anybody that you feel like is going to help get the information out about your son. And that's why we're here, is to talk about Sebastian and to help get his information out there. We want to stick to the factual information because I don't think discussing things about your previous relationship or, making false accusations or just making assumptions that there aren't any facts to stand behind is helping to find Sebastian. When law enforcement tells me that somebody is a suspect or they give us more evidence to go on, then that's what I'm waiting for to happen. And everybody has the right to their own opinion, and everyone's welcome to share their opinion as long as
I'm
they're
waiting for him to
sincere.
talk.
So,
I'm sorry. It's
If
taking
you
forever.
don't mind, if I could just say something.
Sure.
Everybody out there, they've all got their assumptions and their accusations and things of that nature. If you have proof, bring it to my attention. Show it to me. Please. I mean, and like I said, I'm direct, I'm brash, but I'm respectful at the same time. It's not about biting people's heads off. What I will say that I don't appreciate is how folks out there want to drag in personal family business amongst all three parents, their side of the family, my side of the family. It has no bearing on our son. We're a family. It's big. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have some dislikes. Every family out there is got the same, working through them and becoming stronger as a family. That's what makes a family a family. I don't mind people have their opinions. I don't mind their assumptions. Respectful. I'm going to give you the respect. In the end result for every bit of this is the exact same. To bring our son home safe and sound. And that's all we're asking. We love y'all. We pray for y'all. We got thoughts. Even if you don't like us, trust me, we still got love for you. And sometimes your questions may sound far-fetched, but believe it or not, it might be something that we could look at and say, hey, what about this? But it's not going on deaf ears. I promise y'all.
Well, it seems to, in my opinion.
Father. And he advocated and he actually got a law passed. So he has.
I don't want anybody to think that we would want to control a narrative or an opinion or whatever. People are going to be upset with us. People are going to have their own ways of thinking what they want to think. That is perfectly okay. Perfectly okay.
I will say for the record that I do have a voice, but I'm just choosing not to speak on panels. But I want everyone to know that I'm okay and my husband does not abuse me.
Katie.
Sorry about that. That was off. That was way off. That was me and my voice throwing skills.
That was off, so that wasn't according to plan, possibly. I don't know. Speculating.
But no, just people are people. And one, I love everybody. I don't necessarily have to like you. I don't have to like your thoughts. I don't have to like your statements. That doesn't mean I'm not willing to sit down and have a conversation with you. I mean, I did that with Smiley. I did it with Smiley. I gave her the opportunity. We sat down, we had our discussion. Terry Lynn, same thing. And everybody wants to criticize me for that conversation and then the Smiley thing and this and that. It's conversations. It's truly conversations.
Yep.
I mean, trust me, Meet me. I'm a different person altogether. Totally different person. You know, but I don't tolerate people when you come after my family. You know, you poke a bear for only so long, then the bear comes out. And just be prepared.
Who's more the bear, you or Katie?
Oh, I'm more of like the lion that kind of lays around on safari.
Right.
You keep picking on me and picking on me, picking on me, and eventually I'm just gonna lash out. She's definitely the mama bear. You can only poke her for so long, but when you do, and she turns loose, it'll be very factual and it's gonna be very direct. And you know, I think a lot of women out there understand that feeling. You know, you don't. Number one thing.
A whole year. We've been waiting a whole year to hear the truth, right? That somehow the secret insinuations, like, but you can't talk about their family. You can't talk about the kids, even though their son's missing. And we can't ask questions. And Seth is supposed to have communication with law enforcement through his PI. And Seth and his mother and his sister and them didn't go along with the plan. And I mean, how many other things are there that have been said in these interviews that would lead to speculation that's unsettling and organized? And it implies something could have occurred where Sebastian went off with a family member. But you couldn't find out. You couldn't ask. You can't ask questions. You can't talk about it. So this is the alleged family member that was out searching with some of those people, potentially, that you just saw, that were part of that interview that we just watched. And this is the off-grid spot that has been shown on their live streams and the videos that they were putting on TikTok and X, which is this weird off-grid spot that they show all the time, that they say is secret and hidden.
Storm came through here and messed up my off-grid area here. Look. Look at that torch building right down. Look at that, went right through there. Animals been in there too. Is this area safe? Look. Hey, buds. You got a rake? And some big industrial trash bags? Alrighty. We go, man.
And again, how did this person know to make a video like this? There was nothing else on their channels, no other missing people, nothing like this anywhere. But how did they know on the 24th of February to make a video like this? Could there have been a plan with the stepdad or the mom? And Sebastian said, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. I don't want to go. I don't have my cell phone. I want to call dad. I'm not going. No. Is that possible to hypothesize and speculate? I mean, this doesn't strike people as alarming and odd behavior that a video like this was made the 24th of February. Because we know Sebastian was seen on the 25th, right? We know on the 25th that he was out to eat dinner with his mom. At Texas Roadhouse, right? They were eating dinner together. This was the 25th. They're out eating dinner. Over by the bar and says no. You see that? Isn't that where Yellow Raincoat was sitting for a little bit? He wants to hide in the woods. It's heartbreaking. You can theorize. He said yes to her, and then he looked over. Look how fast his neck looked, and says no. And let's remember on Smiley Story World, on that interview, as we wrap up for tonight, and we'll have a part 2 sometime in the upcoming days, this discussion about creators and how Seth and his family wouldn't go along with the plan that Chris was implementing. In my opinion, it's something that people should really take into consideration, because I don't know how Sebastian has been missing a year and people are condoning attacking his dad, sharing outdated photos, and making a mockery out of his disappearance. It's truly heartbreaking.
The rest of it, you know, I mean, it's one thing. And that's what I'm saying. The JLR, this dude, he's going to have to make a public apology. He's going to have to make it public. for me to consider him. And the reason why I say that is because how much crap he put out there and to the level he has gone to certain topics. There's one topic. Okay. My kids don't cross that line.
I
I don't care who
understand.
you are.
I understand. I'm just saying,
I mean,
and it don't even have
one
to
of
be.
the one of the reasons it took us a little bit longer to do some of these interviews. Okay, and this is before we started doing interviews and talking with media, we were kind of advised, hold off, don't do that. Well, eventually got to the point we needed to start talking to the media.
Mm-hmm.
The parents, myself, Katie, and Seth, all decided, we made a pact in the beginning. Hey, if we're going to do this, we're going to keep each other in the loop. We're going to talk to each other and ask. We're not just going to go out here and do our own thing. Okay. That has always been our pact. You know, we would call Seth and say, hey, initially he didn't want to do any type of interviews, and we understood that.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I said, hey, man, do you want to like phone in with us? Do you want to come to the house and we'll do this as a group? What do you want to do? We've tried and we want to do this as a group. You know, unfortunately, you know, somewhere along the way, we've all kind of gotten off track, and he's kind of gone out and done his thing. We've kind of done our thing. Mrs. Rogers done her thing. I think his sister may have done something. I mean, but everybody's getting the word out.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. I just don't want anybody's ego and nobody to get in the way. I mean, I'm just saying, because Katie did say it perfect just a minute ago. And if you can say it for the, you know, for the flyers and stuff, I just want it to be known that, because I always say, and no matter if it's a missing child, I always say it. Sometimes I do little things on just what's in my heart and stuff. Sometimes it could be on freaking, I don't know, it have nothing to do with a person. Sometimes I just get into my feelings sometimes I come on here, and it ends up, somebody says, you don't know what you did you? And it's just a lesson or something. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head right now. But I always say, you know, no matter how little we are, we might take and say something, and then somebody sees it, and then they share it, and it goes on and on and on. And somebody really might be helped by it. Well, it's the same thing with Sebastian. Somebody might share it, come in 2 weeks from now, or hopefully not that long, but, you know, and see him somewhere or remember something, and something may click. And, or it could be tomorrow, tonight, an hour from now, and it really may help. But sometimes you need other creators, and it just needs to all just flow like that. I don't know, no matter how big or how small. And it don't matter to me. I want to kind of promote everybody. If they have a channel and they're good and they have good intentions, I don't care who it is. I don't care what they do. And I just hope that y'all, as the parents of him, don't let your ego get in the way. Just let it roll off, and, you know, do what you got to do. Just bring him home. Bring him home.
That's so sincere. I mean, it's so sad that on March 20th, not even a month after Sebastian disappeared, Smiley is trying to encourage the parents to, and not Seth, we're talking about the mom and the stepdad, to go share his information on all channels. And he's talking about, you need to publicly apologize. On March 20th, he's talking about making a story. In my opinion, that's right. It sounds like we came up with a plan. But I don't believe there was a we, including the father. I don't think there was a we, including the dad side of the family. I think we can all see now that there was a creator that seems to be the author is the stepdad and the mom. according to their words. We just listened, right? We just listened. Let's not forget mean mode of opportunity. We hear all the time, right? If we're going to hypothesize. And who asked for the GoFundMe originally?
Okay. So why is there a problem? I feel, I mean, I feel it shouldn't be a problem, but somebody's asking about the GoFundMe. Why are you so mad about that, Chris?
So initially, I forgot what day it was. Myself, Katie, and Seth were in my house, and I had brought up the question. I said, "Hey, should we start a GoFundMe page to start trying to raise money to add help to this, however we can?" And the police said, "Hey, no, I don't recommend doing that, because then if you do that, it looks like you're trying to do this for profit." I was like, "Okay, that makes sense." So we all three had an agreement. We weren't doing this. And next thing you know, now there's the GoFundMe page up there.
So, okay. And, but, okay. So why don't y'all just start your own GoFundMe page? I mean, it's like, there's no sense in arguing over it, really. I mean,
So all of this has kind of stemmed because you got a family member who wants to go out there and blast some family matters to the public. That's where it all stems from. Like I said, this is not family problems. This isn't about family matters being public. It's about Sebastian.
right.
And we've got some family members that aren't necessarily kosher about everything right now. And they're upset. Their emotions are, I got it. Everybody's been at one point hot-headed. If somebody tells me they're not, that's a lie. Everybody's been a hothead at some point.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, we got a missing kid, and that's a problem.
well, in my opinion, I mean, you have to put everything aside. I mean, your feelings, her feelings, and I know it's not easy. You've got, you honestly have to do this. You're going to have to endure a lot. It's not going to be pretty, and it's probably going to be worse. I just sat here with another case, 2.5 years, going on 3 years in June, and the things I've seen out of that has not been pretty, and no results have been, unfortunately, found.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to pull up the clip here. That piggybacks off of controlling the narrative and the story and ties into Smiley, I think she did a great job as well. She just let him talk, right? Although it sounded like he bragged about talking. And bragged about how he goes on the shows and he calls the shots.
Let's all think about that right now. Y'all know Smiley. You've all seen Smiley. You've seen how I interview. Now,
oh, he's gonna tell her later.
What?
Oh, oh, he's gonna tell her later.
What?
He said, "I'm gonna tell you later."
Oh, that's true. Chris could be there with him.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh, here's Seth. Okay, Seth.
What did he just said? Who's going to tell her what?
And I'll tell you why. later.
Oh, okay. I see what he was saying. Okay, sorry, guys.
Ooh, he's gonna tell her later.
All the online drama, all the online drama and stuff.
Okay, so Texas Ranger, this is Smiley. That got to the part that you were
Trying not to say anything.
okay.
Well, let me say one thing. I trolled Smiley's live before this one. Okay, I don't go in the chat because
where do you see that?
Just please play the video. This is going to cut out all of this speculation that's happening.
okay, play the video and then I'll.
I promise.
One, I love it. That was way off. That was me and my voice throwing skills, everybody. Yeah.
Awesome voice throwing
Yeah.
skill, Katie.
I'm
Katie,
impressed.
we're thinking about you.
She just walked
We're
over.
thinking about you.
But no, just people are people. And one, I love everybody. I don't necessarily have to like you. I don't have to like your thoughts. I don't have to like your statements. That doesn't mean I'm not willing to sit down and have a conversation with you. You know, I mean, I did that with Smiley. I did it with Smiley. I gave her the opportunity. We sat down, we had our discussion. You know, Terry Lynn, same thing. You know, and everybody wants to criticize me for that conversation and then the Smiley thing and this and that. It's conversations. It's truly conversations.
Yep.
I mean, trust me. Meet me. I'm a different person altogether. Totally different person. You know, but I don't tolerate people. When you come after my family, you know, you poke a bear for only so long, then the bear comes out. And just be prepared.
Who's more the bear, you or Katie?
Oh, I'm more of like the lion that kind of lays around on safari.
Right.
You keep picking on me and picking on me, picking on me, and eventually I'm just gonna lash out. She's definitely the mama bear. You can only poke her for so long, but when you do, and she turns loose, it'll be very factual and it's gonna be very direct. And you know, I think a lot of women out there understand that feeling. You know, number one thing you don't do with
me this time.
Blindsided us clue that no Chris was coming on here. So all of a sudden he pops on the screen and it's a little disconcerting. I'll tell you why, because you know everybody and their mom is going to watch it now and everything's going to be dissected. But once again, thank you for blindsiding us clue. That's awesome of you.
First off, it wasn't me.
Actually, she had no part.
And I want to point out this weird narcissistic attitude of thinking they're famous. Sadly, not enough people have heard these interviews, in my opinion. There's only 11,000 views on this. There's 7 million residents alone in Tennessee, over 300 million in America, billions in the world.
Part in that. She had absolutely zero part in this.
He blindsides me. Like he blindsided me last time. He blindsided me this time.
Yeah.
Well, could you call again next time and give a little heads up, maybe?
Well, see, that's one of the things I will be honest with you, and I did it to Smiley as well. She was on a show with somebody else, and they were sitting there running their mouth and talking, and I said, "Oh, really? Okay." Boom, send her a message. Go live right now. She was like, "What?" I said, "Go live, and I'll get on your show right now." And she pulled out of a show, opened hers up, and I went caught her off guard, completely off guard. And I'm sorry, but to me, if you want, that's the best way to talk to a creator. Get them off guard.
Is that bad because you felt like maybe you have been, set up in the past?
I think with a lot of the shows, they are intentionally set up. Absolutely intentionally set up.
I agree with that.
I mean, let's.
Well, I would think so. I mean, didn't he tell us that he set him up with people? We're going to go on to the last clip in a second, but didn't he tell us that? And now they're playing dumb? psychological warfare, propaganda, manufacturing content, and a missing child. It's a missing young man that you're trying to bring home, right?
It's like that night with
Unbelievable.
whatever her name was and all those PIs, and then Seth gets on and all that stuff. Like, okay, you can tell me it wasn't, but I'm going to disagree with you that you guys had every intention of what you did it on purpose. You know, and that's fine. You just, when they're not ready, and I came on that show and it was like, oh, wait, and everybody's scurrying to get everything ready. Like, you're not ready for what's coming, and you shouldn't be. I think if you're a good creator and you're not prepared for what's coming, and you can go with the flow and keep the show, that's a good creator. I think so.
Chris, are you a natural asshole, or do you work on that to better your skill?
Oh my god.
I'm born a natural, and I always improve.
Be ready for what's
So
coming.
it's something that you don't shy away from. You're perfectly okay with people thinking you're an asshole.
I am perfectly okay with that.
Gotcha. I just random question. Don't judge me.
No, and I've told people, I'm like, look, you know, I am me. I'm not gonna pretend to be something I'm not. I mean, this is what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do have a heart and compassion. I will help people, but I am very much an asshole.
Not to associate this with that, but I know you were in the military. How many years were you in?
16.
16. Did you do deployments during that time into active battle or active zones?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And so you experienced war essentially.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that would probably explain why you might be a little more I say asshole, but cut to the chase, no bullshit, and maybe come off as, I mean, you sound aggressive sometimes, right? So is that why, or is it just your nature of when you're, feeling a situation, you want to get your point there, and that's just what it is?
I like being direct to the point. Like I don't like beating around the bush. I mean,
I want to thank you for your service as one American to another, and also a serviceman, but to your wife as well. But yeah, I'm just curious about that.
So my response to those are always, thank you for your support. But I recently heard another one that I actually kind of truly like, and I never heard it said like this, but because you're worth it.
That's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful.
And funny thing is, as a woman, is the one that introduced me to that.
That's actually a powerful statement.
A man told me about thank you for your support, and the woman was the one that told me because you're worth it.
That's great.
And back to the beginning of this, to the Texas Roadhouse. Now that we've caught up on some of the ways that he enjoys
I don't
going
know
on
what
shows,
Tweet is doing, bent over and
taking people by surprise. Well, Sebastian's missing. He's acting like this was some story and he's okay, and they just don't want him found. And it's very interesting, very, very odd behavior, right? In my opinion, it's very odd behavior. Let's go over to Shay's safe place. To a video she made a while ago. I'll put the link in the chat.
So is my wife, and so is Seth. We're all grieving our own ways.
Earlier, you had stated you heard a noise in his room before you went to bed. What time was that?
Around 10 o'clock.
10 p.m. What did it sound like?
Just a thud.
I understand everybody's personal feelings that I should not have been as aggressive. All right, cool. I respect that. Maybe, you know, but at the same time, I am a person. So is my wife, and so is Seth. We're all grieving our own ways.
Well, thanks for clarifying that Seth's also a person. But why would you all be grieving, especially when this interview happened? You give up hope already?
No, I told you, if you're going to want to look at PRs, we're going to do
Seth can have his fucking PRs. I don't hate PRs.
See, and actually, as we're speaking,
He sends me all this shit for no fucking reason.
as we're
Okay, you sound angry. Talk to me.
Larry.
Talk to me. We don't want to get you. The last thing we want to do, Chris, is cause problems between you and Seth. I swear to God.
Well, I understand that, but let me help you with something.
Okay.
Okay, a lot of the information that I've been listening to on your show, coming from Chloe, the questions that are coming from people, it's very sickening and disgusting, to be personally honest with you.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So let me go ahead and address a few things and help y'all out.
Okay.
Chloe, you're the PI. I haven't had a chance to talk to you. You haven't even called me. You haven't done anything, first off.
Heather has
Heather is the only one. Heather is the only one who has reached out to me. Or to my wife. So you have been on the show sit here and information that you don't have all the answers to is a problem.
Okay, well, Chris, help us understand, because I know Chloe, and Chloe wants to help, and the last thing Chloe would do is want to put out misinformation. And the problem is...
I understand it. So let me just smash something real quick.
Okay.
Okay, first and foremost, anything that goes on between me and my wife is not a damn bit of anybody's personal business. I don't care what you think. I don't care what y'all got to say. That'd be like me blasting all your business out to the world.
We haven't got a missing kid.
People in chat are asking, did you tear down any posters of Sebastian, you or anyone you know?
That is a straight up no, and I can't believe people would think I would tear down flyers or posters of my missing stepson.
Okay,
which, you know, another thing that's kind of funny that you bring this up, because some people, and yes, they are pertinent to the investigation, have said that there's a video floating around of me tearing these things down. If you got it, post it. Because if you ain't got it, shut up.
I'm going to show you a few things. I noticed this with the very last video that Dog the Bounty Hunter put out. Notice the man standing right there. It's the place where Katie and Sebastian pulled up. The guy standing there looks and stands just like Chris Proudfoot. Notice the way he stood over here at the motorcycle shop. Just asking, was this Chris?
Just speculating. All speculatory. You never know, right? Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Castle. Hi, Bubble Beth. How are you? Bubbly Beth. And everybody. Hi, Star. How are you? Brianna's World. I think I already said hi. I'm sorry. I'm wrapping up. And then we'll do a part 2. And maybe, just maybe, we'll end up doing a review of that panel. Because they were really upset that I wouldn't stop asking about the guy that made a video of a man walking, a young teen walking the day before Sebastian disappeared, that just so happened to be searching for Sebastian and just so happens to resemble the yellow raincoat. Boy, did that get them furious. I was muted the whole time, constantly. And I think I should review it because it didn't make sense to anybody that was listening. They even asked everybody to call TBI on me. Then they pretended I tried to get on the show, and Chris said, "Momming it up." Ugh. God, I hope we find this child. I pray for Ellie to find Sebastian, and for bad things to never be allowed to be emboldened to be utilized online for money and whatever insanity people are okay with, in my opinion, interfering, misleading, lying. It's unbelievable.
Listen to the words carefully.
Description of, what he was last seen, like in the black outfit. Is that something that he wore to bed?
Yes. So he wore, like I said, it was the black pants with the white stripes down the side. It was a long sleeve black shirt. It was not a hoodie. It wasn't a sweatshirt. It was a long sleeve black shirt.
And y'all think that he went out the front door?
Right now, that is the best assumption available.
Y'all don't think maybe he might have put a sweater on or something? I mean,
that right there, that would be an assumption, and we never saw him. We saw what he went to bed in, and that was it.
That was from Clutch Them Pearls, presented by Lolly Beautifully Broken. Notice he said the words we. And there's right the back. Now this right here comes from Lady Freedom's Raw Narratives.
Well, but Chris, let me tell you.
I'm not going to sit here and care about that either.
Let me tell you why that was brought up. Okay, it's because of what Seth said. Seth said, and
Yes, you were correct. No, you were correct. You just hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
You just hit the nail on the head. Seth has opened his mouth. He has said a lot of things he probably shouldn't. And he needs to learn how to close it because, quite honestly, none of that has anything to do with finding Sebastian.
Right, and you know what? But Chris, let's keep it that way because Seth has said.
Why was he wearing pull-ups then, Chris?
And he hasn't.
Bullshit. Let me explain to you why.
What?
And he needs to learn how to close it because, quite honestly, none of that has anything to do with finding Sebastian.
Right, and you know what? But Chris, let's keep it that way because Seth has said he is not going to do that anymore, and he hasn't.
Bullshit. Let me explain to you why. That Sunday when I went to that vigil and spoke to Seth very calmly, very respectfully, we were having a good conversation while everybody stood behind me and was snapping little pictures and stuff. Heather came up in the conversation. She saw us. It was not a aggressive conversation. It was actually a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But see, it wasn't 3 hours later. Seth was on YouTube on somebody else's show, sitting there. He's blaming Katie, my wife, for Sebastian's disappearance. Now, unless you got cold hard facts, which you don't open your mouth. And all you're doing is making an ass out of yourself because you're assuming.
Say that.
I think
Upset. It is what it is. I'm okay with it. You know, he sat that back down at the dinner table and was like, see, eat your food. And we went back and everything's been fine.
no, I doubt that everything's been fine. Look what's happened now. Tidbits from Chris.
There. Be with Katie until you to get home.
So here's a little cool little tidbit. So you know how certain phone companies have these trackers for their phones to track their kids and things like that.
Right.
So we have that. And it's not just me and Katie and the kids. It's actually my whole family's involved with it. And we have that Life 360 on our phones. And if people stop to, and this is what I was leading to, but if people would just stop and think about this, the first 8 days, there's not one aspect of mine, Katie's, or Seth's life that has not been combed through.
You heard that right? My whole family's involved in it.
We have that Life 360 on our phones. And if people stop, me and Katie, track their kids and things like that.
Right.
So we have that. And it's not just
me and Katie and the kids. It's actually my whole family's involved with it. And we have that Life 360 on our phones.
We're involved with it.
And if people stop to, and this is what I was leading to, but if people would just stop and think about this, the first 8 days, there's not one aspect of mine, Katie's, or Seth's life that has not been combed through 20 times over.
I think that ties into why so many people were wondering why a 15-year-old boy wouldn't take his cell phone if he walked out there willingly.
I mean, the law enforcement here was there in my house, and they told us all about it. I mean, it's, you know, it's so simple that.
Yeah, my mind, KJ, puts patterns together. I can't explain it, and I just remember things, and then I could just put them in a series of to try to explain what I hear and how I hear the whole story potentially. Never know, right? When we're hypothesizing and speculating, we can go on for days, sadly. And I think Shay's Safe Place so much for all of her work. And I think hindsight, because I wish I had the time to continue to make these clips and stuff. And thanks to them, we don't have to. I could just remember what part of an interview something was said. And then odds are they've clipped it. It's amazing what they've done. It's incredible.
It's so simple that it's probably a very boring case if you took away all the crap. It's just a simple, we have a 15-year-old autistic child that is missing. And unfortunately, the best part about it is he has managed to do this without any evidence left behind whatsoever. That is the most unique aspect of this case.
What did you say?
Well, we have a 15-year-old autistic child that is missing. And unfortunately, the best part about it is he has managed to do this without any evidence left behind whatsoever.
The best part about it
is the most.
And sir, I don't know of anybody or any creator that would call any missing child's case boring, or anyone that would say the best part about it was without a trace.
You know,
No,
really
I mean this. So here's something that's very unique. I mean, we talk about it whenever they come and they talk to us or they call us on the phone. This is a case that literally has got all of these agencies stumped. Okay, and I'm saying this very openly as far as, you know, playing devil's advocate. Let's say one of us was suspected of foul play. Let's say something, right?
Right.
There's no way that we would outdo all these agencies. There's no way. However, this 15-year-old boy has managed to outdo everybody. Call him Houdini. He always wanted to be a ninja, and we kept goofing around. Well, he has officially done it because, poof, nothing. You know, and it's, you know, the cops have told us this is a case that will go down as a researched study case where they're asking the questions and looking for answers, and literally nothing. Everything they try to come up with, blank. It's information that we still, even as of today, we had a meeting with law enforcement. And
so by March 20th, you're out here saying that all these agencies are stumped. Less than 1 month after Sebastian came up missing.
But all the agencies have tons of information, Could there be a family member that was there that taught everybody how to use burner phones? And walked barefoot through the woods? But Sebastian wouldn't go with them? Is that possible? Because this was the latest footage that was released by Dog the Bounty Hunter. Let's not forget, if he didn't want to go, is there a chance that maybe he was given medication so that he could just be carried?
People next door, I told you that they didn't think it's an older couple. They've got cameras on the front corner and back corner of their house, and they told TBI and Sheriff's Office Department that their camera wasn't working. Well, they came back 2 weeks later and went around, and I told you they started the search all over again, literally from ground one. They knocked on their door and asked them, do you guys have cameras? They said yes, but they're not working. And the guy looked at them and said, that's okay. Can we see it anyway? And sure enough, their cameras actually were working, and there is a black blob with something thrown over the person's shoulders. The people next door, I told you that they didn't think it's an older couple. They've got cameras on the front corner and back corner of their house, and they told TBI and Sheriff's Office Department that their camera wasn't working. Well, they came back 2 weeks later and went around, and I told you they started the search all over again, literally from ground one. They knocked on their door and asked them, do you guys have cameras? They said yes, but they're not working. And the guy looked at them and said, that's okay. Can we see it anyway? And sure enough, their cameras actually were working, and there is a black blob with something thrown over the person's shoulders.
So this is what Dog the Bounty Hunter put out this morning in the at night, and it does leave speculation on was Sebastian supposed to go somewhere with a relative, possibly somebody that made the woods look appealing and adventures look appealing, that walked around barefoot. He said no, he didn't want to go. And potentially, could there have been something to have him go to bed that night where he would be in a sound sleep and carried out easily? Is that possible? There was a plan that went awry? We don't know. Because when you're not allowed to talk about the family, and you're not allowed to ask these questions about the family, could that be why it's a case that would be studied for years so early on? Because it had so many missing, moving parts and moving pieces. There be people that thought that it was a harmless way to manufacture and make money as influencers, that he wasn't going to be hurt. He's just going to go off on an adventure because custody is coming up and he needs to learn how to behave because he was going to be sent to a behavioral school, but his dad said no because his behavior wasn't bad at his house. He was begging for help with 5 CPS reports, asking teachers, and a stepdad that mocked the fact that he thought that the stepson was trying to get him out of the house. So what if there was people that were okay with getting him out of the house and getting Sebastian out of the house, but they haven't been able to find him? So now you have a lot of people involved that'll do anything they can so they never get in trouble. Just hypothesis, just speculation, but you never know. But we do know there was intentional distractions to try to make the father look like he was extremely involved when he was at work. And that's heartbreaking. all of this is heartbreaking. And I thank you for hanging out and going over all this so that we can keep Sebastian's name out there and raise awareness so that somebody that might remember something can hear the story, know that he's missing, and call 1-800-TBI-FIND, contact the Sumner County Sheriff. If they see him, call 911 immediately, or reach out to Dog the Bounty Hunter, the tip lines. And the only way to do that is by going over these things. Because we have to. We know a lot of people have been silenced, and people just ran off of this case because of what happened to them. When you discuss anything, you all hear how angry they get and how real life it goes. But if you're facing jail time, some people will not be okay with that, right? It'll set them off. They won't act rationally, and they won't care what they look like or how they behave because they don't want to go to jail. Let me catch up on you guys in chat. Yeah, you're right, Joseph Rapp, but I think there's a lot of evidence. And I think there's also potentially a lot of evidence that may be in a lot of the videos that some of these people did, including that guy that resembles the yellow coat guy. There's a lot of stuff in those videos. And just because that account is gone and TikTok was taking things down left and right doesn't mean that a ton of people don't have them saved. Thank goodness for that. Oh, I know, Star, it's horrible. And then releasing the photos of Sebastian when he was a ninja for Halloween is heartbreaking. It's adorable, but I feel like it's really, really targeted to hurt Seth. It really seems very targeted at Seth. I mean, the divorce date, all of it. That's when Seth raised him 24/7. 24/7. He was the mom and the dad. He was the army, the military husband with a special needs child. How hurtful can it be to take the memories and put them out there knowing that's a viral statement? A viral statement about about his missing child. It just seems so, it seems so cruel. And I can't stand saying that. I feel like it's psychological warfare. Really trained people that know how to do psychological warfare. They've read the books one too many times. And the younger photos are to make you think. They just don't want you to recognize him. I want to believe it's true. I want to believe he's out there and he's going to be fine. We all do. But we have to be honest when we have discussions as well that statistics were over a year. The statistics, the behaviors. I think something went wrong and they don't know where he is, potentially. And nobody can come clean. If he was off with the alleged family member in the woods, nobody can come out and tell the full story. Nobody wants to go to prison. just speculating. But when there's a bunch of really odd things and coincidences that get above a dozen, you have to start to wonder. You want me to play that as we end? What is it? 2 empty vessels evenly yoked? Oh, I didn't see that yet. Oh, it is awful, Brandy. Oof. To this extent, Brandy, but it depends on what they were specializing in. And honestly, you can buy the books and just read, you know, The Art of War, and remember Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal. But there's lots of books on it. And Elevated Truth talked about it substantially on his original channel that was deleted and then redone. Interestingly, he talked a lot about that art of war and psychological warfare. I don't know, Brandy. I don't understand any of it. I don't think any of us really understand, right? All we can do is... It's just awful because discussing it leads to these... No matter what you come up with, it's just awful. You know what I mean? There's no good explanation. That's what I'm thinking, KJ. Absolutely. I agree. You need to learn how to be protected from that. We hear so much about narcissists, but we really need to learn more about the psychological components that people can use. Because it's good to hear and learn, but it became trendy, and you don't really hear the important, intricate details of how it's implemented and how they find something that will upset you and then turn it against you to trigger you and all. Maybe one night we can go over that. But for now, we're going to wrap up. I'll leave you the link to the new footage from Dog the Bounty Hunter. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check out Shay's Safe Place and see the new video she dropped of the Unevenly Yoked. I'd play it, but since she just put it out today, I would rather just, you know, have you guys go there so she gets the watch time and the views, since I still haven't monetized yet. I think I'm the only one that hasn't profited off of this kid at this point. I'm not talking bad about Shay or anybody, by the way. It's so hard. You got to watch the way you say things, because sometimes when you say things, it can be taken the wrong way. That's why I don't like text communication. I do not like text communication. I am horrible with text communication. And I never have time to actually really text properly because I'm doing so much with the kids and running around and working, remote work, and taking care of the kids, doing all that stuff. And stopping to try to go back and forth in text is difficult. But you can't really communicate the same way in text, in my opinion, at all. Or I'll give you the links to Shay's new video. Where is it? Oh, they're leaving. It's so heartbreaking. To me, it looks like he really does go to get into the other vehicle, like that was also the vehicle he was used to. Or that he was told he was going to go with, and then he saw somebody in it that he said, heck no. I don't know. We can only imagine.
Dad's on the streets, he's searching all night under the moon in the dim city light. Mom and stepdad nowhere in sight. Everyone's asking where is he tonight. It's whispers and shadows in every call, searching the alleys, wall to wall. YouTubers blog, but they don't solve it all. Dad's the only one who stands tall. Lost in the noise, where's the truth? Missing tinkle from his youth. Echoes of questions in every booth. Dad won't stop till he finds the proof. Why are they running? What's the story behind? Secrets unfold, but answers they find. Eyes of the world, but no one's kind. Dad's on the trail, losing his mind. So many distractions clouding our view. Media circus and the lies they construe. Hearts on fire and his love still true. Dad won't rest till the boy breaks through. Lost in the noise, where's the truth? Missing tinkle from his youth. Echoes of questions in every booth. Dad won't stop till he finds the proof. Lost in the noise, where's the truth? Missing tinkle from his youth. Echoes of questions in every booth. Dad won't stop till he finds the proof.
You're so welcome, Bubbly Beth, and everyone. I hope everyone has a good night's sleep. I hope you get all your work done and you have a great day, KJ. And Star, I hope you have a good night. And Brandy and Joseph and Lisa and Castle and everybody that was here, Trishy, Brianna. Who else was here? Trish, everybody. Chris, everyone that was here. Thank you all so much. Keep staring out Sebastian's fires.
Dad's the only one who stands tall. Lost in the noise, where's the truth? Missing tinkle from his youth. Echoes of questions in every booth. Dad won't stop till he finds the proof.
Hello, Lucian. How are you?
Why are they running? What's the story behind? Secrets
I have an answer for that wackadoo.
they find. Eyes of the world, but no one's kind. Dad's on the trail, losing his mind. So many distractions clouding our view. Media circus and the lies they construe. Hearts on fire and his love still true.
is coming to an end. So this is over. The Dog the Bounty Hunter video. And so we'll end on this for UA Crimson.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. A bullshit.
Absolutely. Good night, Chris. That was funny. Good night, everyone.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. A bullshit.